Great.
Yeah.
They can put you in the schools you need, whatever. That's awesome. But I also feel like everyone should have their own way to find their own path to what their purpose is. Because if you live under what society wants, or parents or generations, you're never going to find that happiness, because you're going to feel there's a void there that's not being filled, because you're not actually living your truth of who you want to be.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't find out who you are actually, then you can't love yourself. Like I mentioned it before as well. Like
No.
the person you're gonna love, you'll be like always in a depression mode, like stressed out, always be like
Mhm.
overwhelmed. Like, is that my potential? I'm reaching my potential. Is there something I really need to be doing? Always like thinking about the career or the life you do like, and you wouldn't be stop yourself and ask, what am I grateful for? Why I like my life?
Yeah,
Is there something making a difference to other people's life? Then
exactly.
yeah. So that kind of things like we need to acknowledge from early age, to be honest. But like we talked about, the parents and the society wouldn't let us because they don't know themselves. Like our parents probably couldn't figure out themselves, age till 50, 60 years old, still going through like what society maintained norm for
Yes.
them, and still doing the same way. And the same way, like if they're not loving themselves, and without you don't love yourself, then you can share the positive energy to the other person. Could be your spouse, your
No,
partner, your children. So yeah, what will be like a
exactly.
steps or your formula you use for your clients in terms of like going for like a self-love? Is there any way for them to find out who they are first, or like what would be the steps?
So clearly I'm a life coach. So yes. So what would happen first is typically, depending on where everybody is in their journey, it would possibly start with the onion peel, so that
Mhm.
you can start to deprogram yourself with all of the clutter that is keeping you in chaos or
Yeah.
so confused that you can't figure out what's going on. And then you'll gain clarity.
Yeah.
Then once the clarity is set, then there's goals that we set, baby steps, so that it's not overwhelming. And then once those goals are set, then we move on to basically achieving what you came to do, which is find that pure happiness of who
Yeah.
you are and your purpose.
Yeah. So is there any process takes a longer period of the time, like weeks, a month? Is there any way like people changing their mindset within like a few weeks, or everyone would be different in terms of like making the change?
Okay, so yes, that's the thing. I don't offer programs because everybody is different. I don't want to say,
Yeah.
oh, 6 months, you're going to be ready to go. No, that's not how life works. First of all, things come out, things happen where we have to stay longer on something than shorter. But
Yeah.
so just to give you a short example, I've had clients that came to me for 6 weeks and we're
Mhm.
done. And then I have clients that I have had now for almost 2 years.
Wow.
So depending on where you are, where you're trying to go, different journeys, different steps need to be had. So it could be as soon as 3 weeks or as long as it needs to take for you to get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everyone's journey is different and taking a different time frame for it. Each
Yeah.
individual. I have like a question for you, which will be related to like the clients you're working with, obviously. Everyone's got their different pattern. So what do you think like a most on average, what is stopping them for doing the self-loving themselves? What's restricting them for like not building the confidence they supposed to be have?
So my client that's been with me for a while, he came to me very low, like on the verge of suicide.
Oh,
So he's afraid to dig up family things.
yeah,
So anytime we're going to do some work that will help release some of that pressure, he'll make up every excuse and anything, because I can tell that he knows it's going to hurt, and he
mhm,
just doesn't want to actually have to deal with that hurt, which I
yeah,
think a lot of people are afraid of. Is usually when you're doing a transformation, it takes hard work and it might cause some pain, and
yeah,
people just don't want any more pain anymore. They're tired of hurting, you know?
Yeah.
So, which I understand, but the thing is, like I tell him, is that this is the only way through it. You've been suppressing and that's not working. So we got to go through it.
Mm. Yeah. And is there like a same pattern with everyone else? Like, do you see that with every other clients?
Yeah. So some people are more willing to die faster.
Yeah.
Others are want to tiptoe, like, oh, that's scary. I don't want, but again, other people's life experiences are a little worse than
Yeah.
others, you know. So somebody that's easier to dive in, it might just be that the parent was yelling or treating them bad, saying negative things. The other person might have rape situations or something that will make their family look shameful, that they don't want to bring up or are embarrassed about. So depending on the experience that needs to be digged up, clearly something that's minor is easier to dive into versus something that is truly heavy for people, you know. So it really depends on everything, every circumstance, every experience. And that's why I say we can't all be judged on one scale, because everybody's life looks so different. If you were to walk in everyone's shoes, you would be like, oh, wow. You know, you would be very surprised of what people had to sustain and live with. So it just is not fair to judge someone by where they are or where they're not, because you don't know what it took them to get to where they are today.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. And another question that comes to my mind right now, which is when we talked about like a self-love and self-confidence, oftentimes people think about we are trying to be selfish, right? So people think about it's all about him or all about her. Why talking about self-love? So can you clarify that one? It's not about like being selfish, right? If we don't love each other,
No, so that's what
ourselves,
I mentioned when you asked me about self-love. I told you that it's not egotistical, it's not narcissist. It's actually, it's the contrary. It's healthy, because again, how do you love your children wholeheartedly if you don't love who you are? It just, yes, you can. I'm not saying people don't love their children, but the type of love that you can actually touch is completely different, because then now you understand it. You're more compassionate, you're more kind, because you really understand what it means to really love something once you love yourself. And then you can let that out to the rest of the world. Right now, people are just loving from a place of what was taught. Yeah, so I just feel so yeah, I think that you know, self-love or loving someone was taught from generations, but at what, or the way I'm loving is the healthy way of doing it.